So this is the high-level video on strings for advanced comp sci. So the first thing we're going to discuss is what exactly is a string. So a string is basically just an array of characters. So it usually is in double quotes, and it'll be one or more characters in a row. So it could represent, say, a word. So a word like word. So that's in double quotes, but actually that can't be stored by a computer. Computers can only store binary numbers. So how can that be translated into something that a computer can understand? So what this basically does is a string is a human concept, and that's translated down into a concept that a computer can process and understand. So the first step of that is that we translate everything that's in the double quotes into an array. So we can make an array. We have first character, W, O, R, and D. And now we have something that is getting a little bit closer to what a computer can understand. But they still can't store they can't store the actual letters. They need to store them as numbers. And that's where ASCII comes in. So ASCII is a way in which every single letter of the alphabet, in addition to characters like a space or a tab or a new line, they're all encoded and they're given a number in binary. So if you can actually even see the different values that are in ASCII. So really a capital W, that's translated into 87. And then that keeps getting, the computer will keep translating those characters into numbers till it has something that resembles that they can use. And of course these decimal numbers are going to be converted into binary numbers later so that they can be stored in memory. So that's basically what a string is in its form. And where Java comes in is there is basically two different ways of creating strings that have been found in programming languages. So the first way, which is really the most simple, is null terminated. So say we have a string like ABCD. So that would be 65, 66, 67, and 68 in the form that a computer can understand in an array of numbers. So in a programming language like C that uses null terminated, it'll end with the value 0, and that specifies a null character. Keep in mind, a null character isn't a space. A space actually has its own value, which is 32. But the null character just signifies a 0, and that signifies that the string is over. But Java uses a different method of doing this. So in Java, the string is just stored as, again, just the same thing as it would be in C. And then it's terminated without a null character. So what it does to know when the end of the string is it stores it in a class. So the string class, so it'll store this character array, and it'll also store a length attribute. So the lengths cannot be changed because strings are immutable, which means that they cannot be changed once they're already created. So once you have initialized the string into a version of the string class, it'll store it in a class with different sort of methods and variables that give you information about the string. So it's stored with as well a variable called lengths. So it'd be like int length. And that stores how long it is when it's initialized. And it'll also have different methods in the string. So that you can manipulate it. So there'll be like the dot length method, so that you can access how long it is. There's a dot compare to, or dot compare, which allows you to see if two strings are equal to each other, if they have a value that's less than or greater than in their character values. So you can compare say we have a string called S1, you can compare that to a string called S2. There's the char@ method, which will return the number at a specific index. So we could get the char@ 0 of this string up here, ABCD, and then that'll return the capital letter A. There's the substring method, which will return a portion of that string. So knowing that S1 is ABCD, on dot substring 1, that'll return every character from 1 on. So instead of being ABCD, it'll just return BCD into that function. And the final one, which there's hundreds of methods in the string class, but the final one that's really used a lot is the dot index of method. And the index of method is sort of the converse of the char@ method. So you supply a character, so you supply a character like A, and it'll return the first instance of it in the string. So the first instance of the character A, which is of course 65 in ASCII, that's at index 0. So this will return 0. So that's basically the basics of strings in Java, and a little bit about the basics of strings in sort of lower level languages like C. And there's a lot of more methods as well, and there's even more complicated things like regular expressions and arrays of strings. But knowing this knowledge is just the basics of how strings are communicated in computer science on a very basic and theoretical level.